It's Thursday, September 15th, 2022. This is FRCMedia News. I'm Keith Tebow. Fall River City Councilor Pamela Liberté steps down as president as she faces criminal charges unrelated to her position. SRTA will soon be welcoming some eco-friendly buses, and Females in Action seeks to introduce women to fitness and philanthropy. All this and more coming up. Fall River City Councilor Pamela Liberté this week stepped down as president as she awaits arraignment next month on harassment and witness intimidation charges. The charges stem from a complaint by a Westport woman who had been receiving harassing and annoying calls and text messages. Police were able to trace the messages to Councilor Liberté's phone. Allegedly, she has been in a relationship with that woman's husband. She's also accused of intimidation in trying to interfere with a police investigation. In her resignation letter to the council, she wrote, quote, "While I serve a public position, by nature I am a very private person, so these past few weeks have been a very emotionally painful experience for me. I've never been accused of a crime before, but I am certain my experience would not be considered normal. Having to patiently wait to tell the facts with the report written as it was has been a struggle for me because while I value my privacy, I also believe the whole truth needs to be told, not just in the details of the case, but also the manner in which it was handled." She went on to say, "I am incredibly thankful for the outpouring of support the residents and employees of the city have shown me, and know that I am lucky to have the family and friends that I do." Over the years, many city councilors have found themselves in a not-so-great news story, reported on or magnified by the fact that we hold this position. But we're not just councilors, we're humans too. Sometimes people forget that, even our own colleagues. Thank you for recognizing there's always another side to a story and reserving judgment. I appreciate your kindness more than you know. Councilor Liberté was not at Tuesday night's meeting, and she has not resigned from the council. Here are some reactions now from some of Councilor Liberté's colleagues to her resignation as president.
I think that everybody has been very professional. I think, I agree, it was courageous on her part. You know, she's putting the city first, she's taking care of her personal business. There should be no reflection on her whatsoever. She will still be here on the council, she'll still be able to contribute. And I think we've been able to stay on track, to keep doing our city business, which is the most important thing at this time.
Yeah, well, I think it's the right thing to do. I think, it's an unfortunate, the entire situation is unfortunate. It puts a bad spot for her. I feel bad for her and her family, and I also feel bad for everyone else that's involved. But I think the right thing to do is step down. There's just no doubt about it.
It's an unfortunate set of circumstances for everybody involved. I think she clearly seen that it might potentially lead to a distraction, and the fact that she's taken the leadership, as we elected her to be, in a leadership position, she's taken the leadership role to truly kind of identify the fact that it could potentially be perceived as a distraction or become a distraction for the council. So the fact that she's actually taken it upon herself to kind of remove herself from that position and actually remove her colleagues from having to make a decision whether or not they perceived it to be a distraction, I think should be acknowledged and applauded for. But I wish her the best in her personal issues that she's going through.
The council will vote on electing a new president when it meets in 2 weeks. Councilor Michelle Dion, who serves as vice president, says she's not interested in the position, while Councilor Joe Camara and Sean Kadim, two former presidents, have said they will enter the race.
Yeah, I'm interested. Sure, and other people are interested as well, so we'll see what happens. See how the votes line up, and then it'll get done, and we continue on.
I haven't really lobbied anybody, so I'll leave it up to my colleagues in 2 weeks to really kind of make that determination if they feel that, my leadership is what they want. I know there are a couple other individuals, and when you look at the city council, we're fortunate to have a lot of tenured individuals who can fill that role and immediately, who have served in that position, whether it be Councilor Camara, Councilor Pereira, Councilor Kilby has had long-term experience, and has Councilor Pelletier. So we've got a lot of councilors who have the ability to provide that leadership and that historical knowledge. Amongst the other councilors, I know there are newer ones, but those individuals in particular have been here for a very long time, and I've got a lot of respect for them. So whoever it is, I think will be in a good position to move forward.
Last week, 3 judges in the U.S. First Circuit Court of Appeals heard oral arguments in the appeal of the federal convictions of fraud and corruption of former Fall River Mayor Jaziel Correa. Correa is currently serving a 6-year sentence in federal prison in New Hampshire for defrauding investors of his Snow Owl app business and seeking payments from potential recreational marijuana vendors in exchange for favorable recommendations to state regulators. His trial was held and he was convicted in May of 2021. FRCmedia legal analyst attorney Stephen Sabra of Sabra Law says one of the arguments made by Correa's attorney was that because the judge dismissed some of the convictions in the Snow Owl case, that the jury could have ruled on the other charges differently.
The appellant's argument, Jaziel Correa's attorney's argument, was that there were 3 not guilties. The Judge Woodlock, in the trial court threw out 10 of the 21 counts as well, and therefore the jury was exposed to evidence that they would not have heard if those charges were not, were not part of the case. The counter to that from the prosecutor was, or the appellee, in this case, the U.S. Attorney's Office, was that this was what's called a discerning verdict, a discriminating verdict, meaning that the jurors looked very carefully at the evidence, and that, or that they say that because they found him not guilty of three of the charges. They spent 4 days reviewing everything that they heard in their deliberations, so that it was clear, according to the prosecutors, that this was a discerning verdict.
The other argument made by Correa's attorney had to do with a video shown of a debate between Correa and then Mayor Sam Sutter, where Correa was asked about his Snow Owl investors.
The defense's argument, the appellant's argument, was that in the closing, not only did they play the video, but they referenced it through at least 3 different times. They played it, and is the argument that the defense made was that the prosecutors were using what's called a propensity type argument, meaning that he lied to the voters, and then you jurors see that if he lied to the voters, then he also is a liar in this case as well. The prosecutors countered that by saying that no, that's what he did in the case, as well as in the video.
Attorney Sabra says the judges may have tipped their hands a bit on how they may rule by the questions they asked of both parties.
They had more questions for the appellant, for the defense side, than they did for the prosecution side. And they were their questions were kind of, to me, really doubting the appellant's argument. So they really, I don't think they felt that the appellant had a strong argument here. But as she said, it's very hard to tell from the questions.
Attorney Sabra says it will likely be a few months before the judges announce their ruling on Correa's appeal. The Southeastern Regional Transit Authority, or SRTA, has received federal and state funding to purchase new hybrid buses over the next 4 fiscal years. SRTA Administrator Eric Russo says a $12.2 million federal grant will be a significant step toward the transit authorities becoming more environmentally friendly.
We'll be purchasing hybrid electric vehicles, so they do still run on diesel, but there's a far greater fuel economy for these vehicles. So there's certainly some operational cost savings and some hopefully additional maintenance cost savings with these types of vehicles. And they certainly do help to reduce our emissions as well. And it's sort of the first step to the next step of or the next phase of having environmentally friendly vehicles, such as battery electric buses or hydrogen fuel cell buses. It's been a challenge for us to have enough capital funding in order to keep up with our fleet replacement schedule as we'd like. So this is really going to help buoy the authority and allow us to have a steady influx of new vehicles over the next 4 years.
Mr. Russo says an accompanying state grant will allow for the purchase of 6 additional buses for a total of 24 that will be secured. That means a third of the Transit Authority's fleet of 74 buses will be hybrid. Even though there have been advancements made in electric vehicle technology, the prospect of SRTA going fully electric is not in its short-term plans.
We really need to be cognizant of the ability to actually operate our service. And a lot of the new battery electric technology doesn't really allow for the range that we need in order to run our bus every day. So this is sort of the half step to get to that goal as the technology continues to evolve. And as I mentioned, hydrogen fuel cell buses, I'm very excited about the potential for those vehicles, but again, hydrogen is hard to come by. So we're sort of taking this first initial step to get used to this new electric technology, and then we'll be ready to keep moving from there.
With the new buses coming online, will there be enough riders to support these new buses? Mr. Russo says SRTA has seen a resurgence in riders since COVID restrictions were loosened last year.
Even a year ago, we were one of the top 50 transit agencies in the nation for retention of riders, and we continue to grow back to our previous levels. I think it's been helpful that we took a thoughtful approach in how we reinstated fares. We changed our fare structure last October, and because we recognized that there were opportunities to perhaps have a fairer fare so that all of our passengers could afford to ride. And I think that that's really helped to allow our passengers to come back.
It's been a week since the state primary, and we're ready to begin our look at some of the candidates that will be in the state election on November 8th. Republican nominee for Secretary of State Rayla Campbell is not shy about her plans to share her conservative values if elected. As the state's chief elections officer, Ms. Campbell is looking to repeal the Votes Act passed by the legislature that allows for mail ballots and early voting during state elections by pointing to irregularities she feels existed during the 2020 election.
We realized that it didn't matter who was actually going out there and voting, it mattered who was counting the votes. Why was it that almost every single Republican lost by the same exact margin? It was unheard of. And then when we're asking for recounts, we're not allowed to be in the room, and our people were being pushed out as well when it came to watching. When the polls closed and we had our poll watchers, they were told they have to be outside the room or they have to be completely outside the building, and they'll give them the numbers. If there's nothing to hide, then why is there so much corruption that we see in so many complaints? And we shouldn't be using these machines to do a simple job of counting bubbles. They should be hand counted. We should be voting by paper. We should be voting in person on election day, not month, and showing an ID. You have to verify who you are in order to cast your ballot. We just know that the process they've had in place for so long is not working.
Ms. Campbell echoes the complaints of many Republicans in criticizing the media for unfairly stereotyping conservatives running for office.
We need to increase voter turnout, but there also needs to be an even balance when it comes to the media that covers both sides fairly and nonpartisan. We are watching a completely partisan media happen throughout the entire country ever since former President Donald Trump was elected into office. It became a target, so anybody who's a Republican, we're super MAGA, we're ultra MAGA, we're Trumpers. They don't even think that we can have our own thoughts and values, and we just love and cherish this country. We don't see the skin colors. We see red, white, and blue, and that's what's most important.
On other issues, Ms. Campbell feels the role of the Secretary of State should be to make it easier for residents to start a small business.
First thing we need to do is to have an audit so we can see what is going on. And when you're new coming into something, you need to see what's going on throughout the whole company, throughout the whole corporation. And we not only have Boston, we also have Springfield. And then, you know, the state goes past there. We have Western Mass and Pittsfield, and they also need access, just like the Cape as well. And we do have pilot offices in small locations, but it's to make sure that we do a full audit to see what is going on, where all this red tape, and cut the fat. We've really got a lot of fat that is harming people. And when people don't have to go through so much red tape in order to start their business, because it's really unnecessary, it's just a way to squeeze more money out of people, we need to be making sure we're fixing that problem.
Ms. Campbell says she would like communities to be more forthcoming in their release of public information, especially when it comes to parents seeking answers about their children's education.
I've come across so many parents that had no idea that they could appeal to the Secretary of State's office, and we do have a chain, keep a chain of custody by sending emails. Right. So I want to make sure that when a request comes in, that it is followed up on immediately. Because why are you hiding information, public information, from the public, especially if it is harming people? The information needs to get to the people so they can know what legalities they have to make sure that what is happening doesn't happen to anybody else, and if there's prosecution needed. And I'll also be working really, really, really close with our soon-to-be Attorney General, because, you know, I'll be a first Madam Secretary, and then Jay McMahon will be your Attorney General, and we'll work really close together to make sure that we are protecting the people, protecting the laws, and making sure that the information that is supposed to be provided to the public is there.
As we head toward November, we ask you to please visit our Elections 2022 webpage for complete interviews with the candidates. You can find that on our website at frmedia.org. At the State House, things are relatively quiet, as the legislature is also in election mode, but there's still work that needs to be done. State Senator Michael Roderick says the auditor is looking at whether the state will need to return some $3 billion to taxpayers after higher than expected revenue collected last fiscal year. He says that's impacting the passage of an economic development bill that is designed to make huge investments while also returning money to state residents.
We hit the timeout button to determine, can we afford to provide permanent tax relief? Can we afford to provide all these investments that we're making in Commonwealth of Massachusetts, in our hospitals, in our nursing homes, in our local communities, and return the $3 billion by this method? Or is there a way that we can, do both and provide significant tax relief to the voters and still make meaningful investments?
Because they're in an election season, rules dictate that the legislature meets in a limited capacity until the end of the year.
In the Massachusetts Senate, we will continue to hold informal sessions every Monday and Thursday. Informal sessions are a session that it's a session where anything can happen, but it requires unanimous consent. Just one person can object to the matters moving forward. So lots of routine matters, lots of home rule petitions. I'm hoping that we can reach a compromise and get this economic development bill and tax relief bill done in informal session. But it's very busy.
We'll be back with more FRC Media News after this.
Here's some job descriptions on the latest hot jobs list from the Mass Hire Fall River Career Center. Clinical Nursing Adjunct Faculty Instructor, Bristol Community College, located at 777 Ellsbury Street, is looking for a part-time clinical nursing adjunct faculty instructor to perform all functions related to clinical assignments, correcting detailed nursing care plans, and completing and reviewing evaluation reports with students. Job number 175-72612. Receptionist, Atlantis Charter School, located at 991 Jefferson Street, is urgently looking for a full-time receptionist to perform a wide variety of skilled secretarial and clerical duties and organize and expedite the flow of work through the main office. Job number 175-69121. directed study tutor. Diamond Regional Vocational Technical High School, located at 251 Stonehaven Road, is seeking a full-time directed study tutor to create a syllabus and course of study for specific students and monitor and facilitate directed study 6 periods a day. Job number 175-69002. 6th grade substitute math teacher. Henry Lord Community School, located at 151 Amity Street, is looking for a full-time 6th grade substitute math teacher. For more information, call 508-675-8208. The Fall River Public School Department, located at 417 Rock Street, has an immediate need for the following full and part-time positions. Vice Principal of Talbot Middle School, job number 175-69132. Social Studies Teacher for Durfee High School, job number 175-68894. For more information about these and other positions, visit Mass Hire JobQuest at jobquest.dcs.eol.mass.gov or call the Mass Hire Fall River Career Center at 508-730-5000.
Welcome back. Battleship Cove was the host last Sunday of a ceremony commemorating the 21st anniversary of those lost during the September 11th attacks. The events remembered the dozens of first responders lost in the terrorist attack, while celebrating the work done each day by first responders who serve Fall River and the rest of the country. Fall River Fire Chief Roger St. Martin said those who sacrificed their lives during 9/11 should never be forgotten, and we as a nation should look to restore the sense of patriotism and common ground that was on display after the attacks took place.
Those who hold positions of power, both public and private, throughout our great nation, should put aside petty differences and work to reunite the soul of our nation. There's always middle ground. If we become complacent, if we forget the sacrifice of those individuals injured or killed 21 years ago today, if we forget the sacrifice of all those wounded or lost defending this great nation against all enemies, foreign and domestic, we forget all these and all the lessons learned throughout our nation's history, then we are doomed to repeat these missteps. Today, let us reflect on the courage and sacrifice of those lost or who lost their lives 21 years ago today. Let us reflect on the innocent souls lost that day. Let us reflect on all the men and women who lost their lives throughout our history defending this great nation, and those who still fight through mental illness. Let us reflect on those who try to make a positive difference in others' lives. Let us be one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all, lest we forget.
For the past 2 years, a women's group in Fall River has met 2 times a week to work out, share experiences, and devise ways to give back to the community. Females in Action, or FIA, has been around since 2013 and now spans 80 regions where women come together to take a holistic approach to fitness. Caitlin Patello learned about FIA while looking for a free women's workout group when she lived in Tennessee. When she moved back to Fall River in 2020, she decided to start a region of her own.
The mission of FIA is to grow women in every aspect of their lives, so we grow each other through pushing each other at workouts and offering those free workouts. We have socials together, go out to dinner. We did a spa day the other day. We've also done pumpkin carving parties, just different things. Everyone leads and hosts not only a workout, but also a social. And then we come up together for ideas to do philanthropy in the community. We just think about what are the asks in the community, what is near and dear to our hearts, and what we want to contribute to. So that is the aspect where the philanthropy comes into play.
Ms. Botello says the FIA South Coast Group has seen about 50 women take part since its inception in 2020, with 10 to 15 coming out both Wednesday evenings and Saturday mornings. She says the workouts can be rigorous, but never intimidating.
We push each other, but we always say, because again, we are not professionals, listen to your body, modify up, modify down. Any workout can be the hardest or easiest workout that you want it to be. And we just support that. If you can't do a particular exercise, that is totally fine. We'll give you an option to change it, or you can just, do a different exercise all on your own. We have our young girls, 6 and 7 years old. They're, our daughters, our nieces, whoever that we bring to the workouts. And I think our oldest one right now is 66 years old.
Giving back to the community is a key element of FIA. Ms. Patello says the group has come up with many ideas to raise funds for local worthy causes.
We've collected donations around the holidays for the townhouse of Fall River. We've done also around the holidays, we met at a church in Swansea and we packed bags for children who were in need, and we put gifts in there, and that was a really fun event because we got the young girls involved, and they were participating and volunteering. We've done a lot of 5Ks to raise money for Leukemia and Lymphoma Society, also Black Lives Matter. So just different runs that we've done, and we certainly want to do a lot more philanthropy events coming up, and that's what we have planned.
The group meets outdoors year-round in any weather. They currently meet at North Park on Highland Avenue, but will soon move to under the carports at Bristol Community College as the days grow shorter. FIA member Tabitha Gendro helps with publicity for the South Coast group and says any woman can join for free.
Take the risk, don't be shy. It might not be for everyone, but come and check it out. You lose nothing, it's always free. It's always women, so nothing to be intimidated about. Like, we modify all of the exercises, so if you think that it's too hard, it probably won't be. If you think it's too easy, it probably won't be, because you kind of move at your own pace, so you make your own workout pretty much. I just say, come check us out and give it a shot. People have a lot of misconceptions sometimes of what things might be, but until you go and actually give it a shot, you wouldn't know.
We will wrap up this edition of FRC Media News right after this.
Welcome to Hot Dogs and Cool Cats. This week we're going to show you Ash. He's a Portuguese Podengo, same age, about 8 months old. He is the smooth coat Podengo. These guys come, in 3 different sizes with different types of coats. Some have long wiry hair, some have smooth hair, and some of even the small ones have a combination of both. So these guys are generally used for hunting. If you notice, he looks a bit skinny here today. He came in super emaciated, way underweight. We had to wait to do most of the typical vet care because we had to make sure that they were in good enough health to even just get their regular routine care. So we think that they were abandoned and on their own for quite some time, trying to fend for themselves. He would do well in a home with older kids. Like I said, he was found as a stray, so we don't really have a history on him, so we wouldn't want to put, little ones around him if we don't know if he has any triggers or if he gets nervous. So we are asking for kids 10, 12 plus with these guys. If you're interested in learning more about him or meeting him, you can certainly go to our website. It's www.foreverpaws.com. You're going to click on Adopt. You'll download the application there and send it in, and once we have it all approved, we'll give you a call and we'll make an appointment for you to come in and meet him.
Today we have Violet. Violet is 9 weeks old. She's a domestic short-haired. She's very lovable. She would do good in any home. She's a little squirmy. She does have the cone on because she just got spayed. So we're trying not to have her be too jumpy, but she's a little squirmy. She would do good in any home with young kids as well. She's very playful. She likes to run around a lot. She does not like that cone too much. Violet, 9 weeks old, domestic medium haired, I think. She's got a little longer fur. If you'd like to meet Violet, come on down to 300 Linwood Street, Forever Paws, Fall River, Massachusetts. She would love to meet you.
That's all for this edition of FRC Media News. Please visit our website at frmedia.org for all the latest updated news and information. FRC Media News airs Thursdays at 6 p.m. and Fridays at 5:30 p.m. For all of us here at FRC Media News, I'm Keith Tebow. Have a fantastic weekend, and we'll see you next Thursday.